Good evening, everyone, and welcome back. I want to start off by saying Happy Father's Day to all of the fathers out there. If you are watching this video, if you are just kind of like listening to it while it plays in the background, that's okay with me. I did want to extend my gratitude to the fathers out there and hope that you are enjoying your Father's Day on this Sunday. Today, I wanted to take the opportunity to just discuss these two particular diagnoses. And if you were on the study meet, what was that, yesterday morning, I believe, we discussed these two extensively. I know a lot of people had a lot of questions on these two different diagnoses and how you are able to tell the difference between these diagnoses, as well as finding the best response to questions regarding bipolar 1 and bipolar 2 on the national exam. So alrighty, here we go. So bipolar 1 has only a manic episode. That's all that it has. It has, think of it as being one and one, like one and done, just one manic episode. However, it might be followed by a hypomanic or major depressive episode, but you do not need a hypomanic episode or a major depressive episode to be diagnosed with bipolar 1. The biggest signifier for being diagnosed with bipolar 1 is having one manic episode. And this is the manic episode. Don't pay attention to all the wordings and stuff on the screen. I know it's a lot. Just listen to me if you want to. If you want to just read, go ahead, because it doesn't hurt to read, at the same time. So we have a manic episode. That is the initial requirement for bipolar 1, right? And it is going to last for 1 week. That's 7 days it is going to last for, right? 7 days only, 1 week. When you get those vignettes and they're talking about, it came with a major depressive episode, then sometimes we're going to lean towards bipolar 2, and we will get into that as well. So during a manic episode, I have a list here. There are 7 things. However, only need three or more to fit the criteria for a manic episode, right? So one of them must be it has to be to a significant degree that is going to impair that person's functioning. And one of the main ones that I've typically been seeing, like on a mock question that they may have, I can't remember if I had a bipolar 1 or a bipolar 2 question on my exam, but I've seen a lot of different mock questions where they're always going to talk about the inflated self-esteem or the decreased need for sleep, as well as the one where they're just talking all the time. Those are some of the 3 main specifiers that I have seen on mock exams. If you have seen, a question that includes that, on the real exam, leave a comment and let me know so that we can, talk more about what some of those symptoms in detail actually look like. So another thing that they also may put on there is excessive involvement in risky activities. Or they're notorious for putting the one where this person is spending this excessive amount of money. These are all symptoms of a manic episode in bipolar 1. 7 days, 1 week for the manic episode in bipolar 1. Now, here it is. This is the impairment that I was talking about. Right? It is severe, right? The mood disturbance is going to be severe to cause social and occupational functioning. Now you're not being able to function. Now you're probably just out here on your own doing this. I've seen this one vignette that talked about this lady that sold all of her clothes and she was moving to Hawaii, right? And sometimes there's you need to be hospitalized to prevent harm from yourself or others. And sometimes bipolar 1 can include psychotic features. Haven't really seen that in a lot of the questions on mock or the actual exam. So if you have, please leave a comment. Let me know what that question looked like. Let me know what that question entailed so that I can know better to help others if we were to see this come up. So let's keep these few things in mind when it comes to bipolar 1, right? Major depressive episodes and hypomanic episodes, they can be common, right? But they're not required for the diagnosis. So you may see some vignettes that talk about how they had a major depressive episode, but they had a manic phase for a total of 1 week. So then you're well, which answer do I choose? And we'll get to that because I have some questions, I think, regarding that. And the key feature is at least one manic episode, 7 days. I can't say this enough. one manic episode, 7 days. If there's ever a manic episode, then it's bipolar 1. Even if the person has never had a depressive or hypomanic episode, because the number one specifier to be diagnosed with bipolar 1 is having a manic episode. 7 days. 1 week. I'm going to say that a lot because I want people to keep that in mind. I want you to hear it, write it, and I want you to retain it, right? So then let's move on to bipolar 2. Now, this is where we have those two different phases, right? Where you have at least one hypomanic episode. It's the same as the manic episode, but it only lasts for 4 consecutive days, and it has to be present most of the day, nearly every single day. That's hypomanic. Manic is 7 days, hypomanic is 4 days. And then I listed it again. Don't worry about all the writing that's on the screen. It's the same thing that was on the other screen for bipolar 1 because it's the same thing. It's just less days. Inflated self-esteem, decreased need for sleep, excessive involvement in activities, like shopping like a lot, spending a lot of money, distractibility, and then he's had that more talkative aspect, even in bipolar 2. But it's a hypomanic episode and it only lasts 4 days. Manic episode is a week, 7 days. Hypomanic, 4 days. 4 consecutive days, most of the day, nearly every single day. That is the difference between the hypomanic and the manic episode in bipolar 1 and bipolar 2. But however, in bipolar 2, now you're going to get an extra part, right? You're going to get that major depressive episode that is going to come with it. And this is going to be 2 weeks in length. Doesn't this look familiar? Like major depressive disorder, right? It's going to be defined by 5 or more of those symptoms for 2 weeks. And at least one of those symptoms is either depressed mood or you have lost interest in pleasure. And if you know me, I've been talking about depression a lot. That is how you recognize depression, right? It's going to be that low mood, no interest in, doing things that you once liked to do, and now you don't want to do it anymore, right? If you are going to diagnose someone with bipolar 2, a manic episode has not occurred. You cannot have a manic episode and be diagnosed with bipolar 2. The diagnosis is then going to switch to bipolar 1. Bipolar 2, hypomanic episode, 4 days. Major depressive episode, 2 weeks. That's bipolar 2. Bipolar 1, 1 manic episode, 7 days, 1 week. Same thing listed here, same symptoms, same criteria for the hypomanic and the manic phase. Now, here it is. This is the whole thing. These symptoms are not better explained by. If you see any symptoms for schizoaffective disorder, schizoaffective disorder is what? It has those schizophrenia symptoms with the hallucinations and the delusions, but then it also has that major depressive episode, right? But if you see symptoms of hallucinations and delusions, then it can't be bipolar 1 or bipolar 2 unless they're speaking about those psychotic features that they're talking about in bipolar 1. And I can dive deeper into that too in another videos because I don't want to confuse anybody today, right? So these symptoms cannot be better explained by schizoaffective, schizophrenia, delusional, or the schizophrenia form disorder, because if you see symptoms of anything on the schizophrenia spectrum, then maybe it's not bipolar 1 or bipolar 2, and that diagnosis needs to change. But I can dive deeper in that in another video. I don't want to confuse anybody because we are specifically talking about bipolar 1 and bipolar 2. I will do a review again at the end of this video how to understand again the difference between bipolar 1 and bipolar 2. I am here to tell each and every one of you there is no trick with these diagnoses. You know this information. I have explained it to you in a way that you are able to grasp it. Bipolar 1 episode, which is a manic episode, 7 days. Bipolar 2 has 2 phases, right? Hypomanic, 4 days. Major depressive episode, 2 weeks. That is the only differences between these 2 diagnoses. Don't be afraid of these 2 diagnoses. There's nothing scary about them. If you still are struggling with how to identify these diagnoses when it comes to your mock exam or even when it comes to the real exam, leave a comment. I am here to help you. I am here to listen. So let's do some questions. I have some questions. It's nothing too hard. Of course, I'm utilizing my little friend here, ChatGPT. I looked at these questions extensively so that I'm not straying anybody. Don't be afraid. I've seen questions just like these on AATBS and Jerry Grossman. It's okay. So we have a 34-year-old client. It's a 5-day period of unusually high energy, rapid speech, decreased need for sleep. She reports starting multiple new businesses, ventures, and feelings on top of the world. She did not require hospitalization, and there were no psychotic symptoms. She also reports having been depressed for 2 weeks last year, during which she had difficulty getting out of bed, and she also had suicidal thoughts. Right? So right there, seems like we got a major depressive episode going on, and then we also got a little hypomanic phase that seems to be occurring. Now, as you can see, it says 5 days. Don't be thrown. Stay the course. Because remember, in bipolar 1, you cannot have a major depressive episode. You can only have a manic episode in bipolar 1, which lasts a week. So this leads us to the best diagnosis being what? Bipolar 2. Hypomanic phase that you see, where she's had the rapid speech, decreased need for sleep, high energy. There's your hypomanic phase, even though it's 5 days. Stay the course. But then 2 weeks last year, she was depressed. She had a hard time getting out of bed, and she had suicidal thoughts, leaving us to choose C as being the correct answer, bipolar 2 disorder. Now, A says major depressive disorder. Now, let's take a look at that as well. We see some major depressive symptoms that are occurring here, but to be diagnosed with major depressive disorder, it doesn't include a hypomanic or a manic phase, automatically taking A out of the picture. B says bipolar 1. We know that for bipolar 1, there's only one phase, a manic phase that lasts 7 days, but she's had 2 weeks of a depressed mood, leaving us to understand that it's bipolar 2, which is C. Now, the cyclothymic disorder, that is something different. I'm not here to confuse anybody. I can do a video that discusses that as well. We can also get into that as well. But I am hoping that everybody understands as to why this answer is C and not B. Alrighty, so let's take a look at this question right here. It says a 28-year-old male presents with recent hospitalization after a week-long period of elevated mood, grandiosity, decreased need for sleep, reckless spending. He believes he has special powers and started a new religion. Look at that. He's got some really inflated self-esteem there, doesn't he? 6 months earlier, he experienced a depressive mood. Now, here's the thing. Let's still stay the course, right? Because it says that for a week-long period, he had elevated mood, grandiosity, and decreased need for sleep, and also reckless spending. A week he has had a manic episode. Now remember what I said, for bipolar 1, you can have a depressive episode. Sometimes it's not likely, but one of the biggest specifiers for bipolar 1 is to have a manic episode lasting for 1 week, which we see presented in this scenario. Now, let's take a look at B. I'm gonna keep saying this until it's drilled in. I know you're gonna get annoyed by me going through the differences between these, but I truly believe that you're gonna read it, you write it, you hear it, so you can retain it. Bipolar 2 has what? One phase of a hypomanic episode lasting 4 days, and a major depressive episode lasting 2 weeks. Right? If you have a manic episode, automatically it's not bipolar 2, it's going to go back to bipolar 1. That is why this answer is A and not B. C, again, schizoaffective disorder. We talked about that. Those are your schizophrenia symptoms, delusions, hallucinations, but then it also comes with a major depressive episode, right? D says persistent depressive disorder. Cannot be that, because persistent depressive disorder lasts how long? 2 years for symptoms that is like chronic and it's all day long, but it's a very mild form of major depressive disorder, right? So that's why A is the correct answer, which is bipolar 1. Alrighty, so let's take a look at this question. A family therapist is assessing a client with mood swings. The client describes 2 weeks of feeling sad, hopeless, and worthless. She later reports having a 6-day period where she felt energized, stayed up all night, worked on her projects, and felt unusually confident. So the client also experienced no psychosis. So let's take a look at this. Can this be bipolar 1? It can be bipolar 1 because it comes with a major depressive episode, right? She has 2 weeks of a major depressive episode, right? But then she also has 6-day period where she felt energized, leaving us to think that it's going to be bipolar 2, right? Because bipolar 1 comes with what? One manic episode. Although bipolar 1 can have a major depressive episode, but I haven't seen a question that like, you know, highlights it. I've seen questions that are like short and straight to the point, you know, just like this one is, where you automatically know this answer is bipolar 2. 6-day period when she felt energized, and then she had a 2-week period where she was feeling sad, hopeless, and worthless. If I can find some questions that are like, I don't like to use the word tricky, I like to use the word challenging. If I can find some questions that are challenging when it comes to how to identify, you know, because bipolar 1 can come with, you know, a major depressive episode, I would like to work on some questions like that too to help anybody out, because this exam has this funny ways of just trying to just throw some stuff at you. D says generalized anxiety disorder. If you're going to choose a response that says generalized anxiety disorder, somewhere in the vignette it has to talk about excessive worrying, you know, anxious feeling, things of that nature. But yes, this answer is in fact bipolar 2 disorder. Leave a comment, let me know what you think about that one. So let's take a look at this one. A client reports experiencing periods of unusually high energy, impulsive spending, grandiosity lasting 10 days. During these periods, she feels invincible and doesn't sleep. She was once hospitalized for erratic behavior and paranoia. Between episodes, she experienced normal functioning and mood. So right here, I don't see anything about a major depressive episode, so we're not going to pick bipolar 2. We're automatically going to pick bipolar 1 because it's clear that she has a manic phase. It lasted 10 days, right? Even though I know DSM-5 says lasting 1 week, stay the course. They will put those numbers in there to throw you. This answer is in fact C, bipolar 1 disorder. Stay the course. Just because it says 10 days and it's not a week doesn't mean that the answer wouldn't be bipolar 1. In order for it to be bipolar 2, you need to have a major depressive episode, and there is no major depressive episode that is mentioned. So automatically you will pick bipolar 1. I don't care if they said 13 days, 14 days, 15 days of her having the impulsive spending and the grandiosity. It will still be bipolar 1 because there is no major episode that is being mentioned to support it being bipolar 2. So there you have it. I think that is it for the questions that I did. Yes, let's have a little chit chat. Again, happy Father's Day to everyone out there. How are we feeling about these diagnoses? Leave a comment, let me know if it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, if you need clarity, let me know. I am more than able to help anyone who needs that. I think when it all comes down to it, pay attention to the length of time of these symptoms. It will help you choose the best answer. Don't stray the course. Stay on the correct course. You know this information. And again, bipolar 1 manic phase lasting 1 week. Bipolar 2 is 2 phases, hypomanic lasting 4 days, and major depressive episode lasting 2 weeks. Stay the course with those 2 simplified differences amongst the 2 of these diagnoses. If you feel like this is beneficial for you, leave me a comment. Let me know how we're feeling when it comes to these 2 disorders. If you have any questions, or if you have a question that you have seen, that you've come across, and you felt like you had a hard time like grasping or understanding it, please let me know. If you're in my group on Facebook, send me a message, you know, make a post about it, and just let me know, and I will be more than happy to walk you through it. All right, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your Father's Day. Have a good evening. Today is our grace day. That's why we're not in the group. I will see everyone on Monday. We will be hitting the ground running once again in the morning. Thank you all.